Welcome back. This video will explain how to use the dedicated search screen in HearForm Pro. Although HearForm Pro allows you to search in virtually any field or any combination of fields, there are a number of different searches that you might perform quite often that are common, and so we've created a special screen down in the lower left here. You click this button and it takes you to the dedicated search screen. Well, in this area, it's a little bit confusing at first, but it's really simple to use. So, for example, some of the common searches that we're going to do are in this middle area here, where I can do, again, what's called a search, a find, or a query, and that will allow me to isolate a certain group of records so that I can work with them, perhaps for marketing purposes. So some common reasons to search would be to search based on the last purchase date, or the last fit date, or the last hearing test date. So I'm going to do that by finding everybody who's purchased over 3 years. It takes a little while depending on how many records you might have, but it pulls those up, and here's the list of, in this case, 390 patients who have not been fit with a hearing instrument for over 3 years. Well, I suppose I could export those right here to an Excel file and send those names to a marketing vendor, that sort of thing, or a manufacturer. I can do a number of different things in this area. Go to the first row, the last row. I typically don't want to show all patients because I've just isolated that group. I could sort or unsort. For example, I can sort by their name just by clicking here, and I can arrange all those ahead of time if I'm going to export them perhaps. Or I can unsort them, put them back in the order that they were entered into the system. Finally, I can go to a technology letter. And that letter, just like 349 other letters that are in the system, will allow me, in this case, to put in, let's say, a new Phonak Digital, some kind of fancy new hearing aid from any manufacturer. I put that in there, and then when I preview the letter, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see, this will put the patient's name. For 390 patients, it will fill all that out according to our records. This date marks the anniversary of whatever it is you previously purchased. Here's good news, we just received the new Phonak Digital, and it will automatically sign that letter based on the clinician that was assigned to the patient on the home screen. As I scroll through these records, then you can see that the signature changes at the bottom. The same is true here for Mary Ann Adams. That date, August 22nd, marks the anniversary of her Widex Clear, the Oticon Vigo, whatever it is they previously purchased. We're recommending this new technology below. So that's one way to use the, I'm going to exit the preview here. One way to use the search screen. Let's just look at a couple of others here. I can do this based on fit date. So I want to find everybody who last was, excuse me, I said fit, I meant to say their test date. So everybody who was last tested over a year ago. I can remove, in this case, normal losses. I may not want to take the time or go to the trouble and expense of sending out a letter recommending somebody comes in for a hearing eval if they have really normal, good hearing. So I can remove those, making my list a bit smaller. Now we're down to 260 records, and I might even want to do that with mild losses. So now I'm down to 202 records. I can export those as we did before, or I can go to a letter dedicated for that purpose, or you can customize your own letter. So as I scroll in here and as I preview, then you'll see that Jennifer gets a letter saying her last evaluation was this date or this date or this date. Even the letterhead is changing at the top depending on which office the patient has been assigned to. So I just have some sample letterheads there. But in other words, you can have one office send out all of your time for a new hearing test letters, and it will send that to the appropriate patient with the appropriate clinician name, signature, etc. Okay, well, let's go back. I'm going to exit the preview here and go back to the home screen. And now when I go down to the bottom again and go to the search area, let's look at a couple of other things here. So this area here allows me to search based on a calculated field which shows the last purchase date or the last fit date or some other things like that. Now, what does that really mean? I'll explain it by going to the home screen and zooming back out here. So if I wanted to search for a date field on the home screen for a patient based on their purchase date here or their fit date, then if I did a search for anything, let's just do that as an example, I'll show you what I mean. Anything less than 2016, well, let's perform that find, and it pulls up 394 patients. And yes, in fact, Jennifer's date here is before 2016, her highest ranked hearing aid is, but someone else may have a hearing aid let's see if I can find one to make my point a little bit better. But someone else may have a hearing aid that was purchased yesterday. I'm not finding any here, but it might show up even if they purchased yesterday in that group, because we searched the purchase date, but not necessarily the last purchase date. We searched this field, and that means give me anybody who has any date in their hearing aid purchase field before 2016. Well, that would include somebody who purchased yesterday who also purchased in 2012, for example. So we really don't want to search this area for that kind of need. Instead, we use a very special calculated field here that says give us just the most recent date purchase. So you can search this field here. We found 394 patients who match that criteria. I'm going to do another find now by clicking the magnifying glass at the top middle. And I'm going to say find less than 2016 here. I think it was 394 we had. Let's see how many we end up with. Well, 4 less, not a real big deal. But in this case, 4 patients had actually purchased since then as well, even though they had an older hearing aid before 2016. But we don't really want to market to patients who may have purchased a year ago. We only want to purchase to those, market to those who purchased within that designated time frame. So we can do the same thing with the test date and warranty dates and all that sort of thing. But we actually have some things that are memorized for warranty. So let's just look at these buttons here. I can find expired warranties. Let's just click that button. I don't know if I have any samples in here or not, but I could say find some for this month, and there aren't any, of course, I'm sorry. But if I had some in my samples, or loss and damage, then those would show up, and I could go to my warranty letter and print those. There is a special video that explains how to do your warranty letters, and maybe you'll see that a little bit better. The same is true, by the way, of just clicking this magnifying glass here. I could say find everybody who from this month or next month, and if there were any, it would pull up that patient. For example, let's go ahead and just add a couple here, because I don't want you to have to see another video just to do this. So I'm going to add 2 people who have a warranty that expires. So it doesn't matter who I'm on. I can be on Gene here, and I click the magnifying glass. That's a common thing, so we included it. Everybody who's expired this month, well, those are the 2 people. It pulled those up. I can go to my warranty letter, click print, and at the bottom of the letter, it does put, in that case, it's a loaner, so that wouldn't really make sense, but I just have some sample data here. So this will put 1 or more hearing aids at the bottom of the letter that have a warranty or loss and damage that's going to expire within that designated period of time. So that little magnifying glass at the bottom, right there, and for loss and damage, is the same as coming over to the search area and clicking the buttons right here. So you can also find birthdays from here. You probably know you can also do that just by clicking the birthday cake here, and that starts the find process. And then you can find duplicates from here. So when I do a duplicate search, I'm going to find patients whose name and left 6 digits of their address matches. And I don't have any in here because I've cleaned it already up, or already cleaned it up rather. But that will help you to find duplicates and get rid of some of those if desired. You can run a status report from here, but again, you can actually do that from the home screen area. There's a little button here that runs a report of the status of those hearing instruments. Let's go back to the search area and find patients in their trial period. If there are any, they would show up right here. In this case, fortunately, I had a couple, but I think, let's see. Let me just see there. I think there's one other area off to the right that I want you to look at. So we're seeing the William Ellsworth as I scroll through and then go see another one. We're seeing information for these different patients. As you can see, it changes at the top for that particular patient, but that just allows me then to search for that information. So I can search in these fields on the left, but I also can narrow it down in find mode only to, I could say I want to find everybody who last purchased a particular year, who is a current user and active and in Office A, or a number of different things that way if I wanted to. But over to the far right, I can also say I want to find everybody who has a severe to profound loss. And this will, in this case I don't have anything on here, but this will give me patients who match that particular criteria. I also can do things based on, again, what period of time, as you saw earlier, but I can include things like the age of the patient. I want to find only patients who are over 75 or that sort of thing. Or I could say I only want competitive users who purchased at Costco, for example, and things like that. So play around with this area on the right and see if that adds any value. If you have any problems or have additional questions with that, we're happy to help you with that. So again, this screen is dedicated to help make things a little bit easier for you with common search needs. But as you've seen in other videos, you can search using the magnifying glass. You can search for serial numbers, phone numbers, warranty dates, battery sizes, virtually anything based on gender and age and on and on and on, the city they live in, right from the home screen. We just thought we'd make it a little bit easier by having a search screen that did that for you a little bit faster. Thanks very much for watching.